In an ideal world, yeah, 20, 30, 40 years from now, none of this stuff will even matter because people will probably be able to walk down the streets and smoke a J in a lot of places. So
Yeah,
the problem is you don't get there without this kind of work being done first.
sure.
Um, in a lot of ways, we're pioneering this industry and pioneering the law and the case law that's going to go behind it. And that takes a little bit of suffering at the time. And you gotta do what you gotta do. Um, you brought up interstate commerce in growing zones. I don't know. I guess the kind of hippie in me feels like I'm still pretty much always going to buy New Mexico cannabis because it's produced here. With the exception of maybe some higher end Cali stuff, which would be really nice to be able to get my hands on a little more. Um, cannabis really is one of those things that it's better local, just like beef and
The honey,
vegetables
right?
and really everything. Yeah, honey, everything else. So, you know, yeah, interstate commerce will really open things up. That's going to benefit more the Walmarts of the world, which whatever, say what you will, there's probably a place for those businesses too. But one of the really cool things about New Mexico is I feel like on average we probably have more what's considered craft living soil growers than a lot of places do. Most of us are outdoors as well, which is
Yeah,
super unique.
I think we can easily, and every state could has an opportunity to set themselves up in some sort
Yep.
of position themselves in some sort of version of the market. And you're exactly right. There's still plenty of people that go buy their half a cow from their favorite rancher in New Mexico, and they have a freezer full of beef, or they're a
Yeah.
hunter, or they're their own farmer. The same goes for well, coffee's a little bit different because it's not grown here, but like some people only buy their coffee from a local place. Sometimes people go
Yeah.
buy from Starbucks at Smith's.
Exactly.
They buy the Kroger brand. Uh,
Hmm.
so I didn't mean to scare folks of like, oh, the local market's gonna fall apart. I think it's just different opportunities,
Yeah.
and also
It'll look
interstate
totally different.
interstate commerce is a good thing overall because that means you get to sell your fire Taos shit to some fucking hipsters in San Diego. Um, like,
Yeah, well, it breaks down all the transportation barriers, so nobody's getting arrested at the airport for having weed on them, like stupidest thing in the world.
yeah,
So there's a lot of positive that comes from it. It's the market in those days will look very, very different than it does. New Mexico's market will be incredibly different. I think it'll look more like the beer scene where you've got your big beer guys, maybe a couple middle tier things, and you've got your super craft stuff. I think that's really how this local market shakes out. We're actually already starting to see some of that. And I really feel like that's how it's going to be in the future. If we can get away from rescheduling and just completely deschedule, that's how I think it looks. If they keep it rescheduled, um, you're talking FDA approvals and heavier tracking and all that kind of stuff. And you can pretty much really forget about a lot of the smaller craft side of
yeah, I
things.
think probably the best bet is to just get it out of that scheduling completely.
Hmm.
I think you still, even doing that, you still have an opportunity to keep a strong medical program across the country in all these different states because prices go down at that point too. I mean, as long
Hmm.
as it's sort of parked in this sort of quasi medical area, that's where we're always going to have the fear of pharma putting pricing stuff out. I mean, I think if you just completely take it out of the rescheduling and let some other agency govern it like or regulate it like they do alcohol
Yeah.
or tobacco, that it just I mean it's going to be so much easier. You can well grow it your own, you can buy it from a local farmer, you can do all those things, or if you would just prefer to buy the scientifically GMO whatever, then you can go buy it from the Walmart of the wheat place.
Dude, you know what? I think the coolest thing in the world would be for me to be able to go with jars or pounds to my farmer's market and set up on my table all my locally grown vegetables, which I do every Saturday, and all my locally grown weed. That would be absolutely amazing. After all, it's just another agricultural product. That's all it
I
is.
it does get irritating to think how often alcohol is overlooked when people are talking about the fears of cannabis, right? Where I'm like,
Super irritating.
I mean, you can there is you can draw a pathway to all those things, even to and this is what we should talk about this for another episode, but like
Mhm.
federal employees getting drug tested, right? Like uh you don't you don't test them for alcohol, and I would argue that that's just as important. Like let's make sure that they're not still drunk from the night before. If we're really worried about,
Exactly.
random drug testing and making sure that people aren't fucking up, like let's make sure that they're not drinking at lunchtime. Let's make sure that I'm not saying that they should all be drug tested every day, but if you're going to do a random drug test, why
Do it
stop?
all.
Yeah, why stop at weed and cocaine and heroin,
Well, the last I checked, weed has actually helped people improve their health. It helps people stop drinking,
Mm.
helps people get off of pharma bullshit. It helps people lose weight, helps people gain weight. It helps you with liver conditions. It helps your brain, your lungs, your eyesight. So many things cannabis helps with. Our bodies are meant to ingest. Our bodies are meant to receive the molecules that cannabis provides to it through our endocannabinoid system. That is science fact, and cannot be argued otherwise. So it's there. Last I checked, all those other things you listed are poison,
Well, that's what I
and
was
they're
just gonna say
legal.
is that like you could argue that alcohol is not regulated enough, right? When it comes
Sure.
to if we're talking about safety and kids and misuse of things, because that's sort of where all of this leads to.
Yep.
Even the coolest people that I've talked to, who just not weed smokers, sort of you can tell that they're still a little bit brainwashed with the thing of like, well, I'd hope my surgeon's not smoking weed. And I'm like, I don't care if my surgeon's smoking weed. I prefer that he didn't do it right before he walked into the fucking
Yeah.
operating
As long as you're
room.
not stoned
Like,
while he's
yeah,
cutting on me, sure.
yeah,
But wait, who knows? Because it could be a cognitive enhancer for him.
sure.
Like there
Yeah.
are some that do that for people.
But I
Like,
don't hear a lot of people really all that concerned about like giving
I hope he's
people
not drunk.
a breathalyzer before they go in.
Yeah. Oh,
And
that's right.
it's like this argument doesn't ever it always falls flat in my mind because I think most people would say, "Oh, well, you don't need to do that. You can kind of tell when people are drunk." And I'm like, "Well, you can kind of tell when people are high too." You know, like
Yeah.
you can tell if
Yeah.
somebody's sleepy or stressed or, tripping over their own
Yeah.
feet. Like
Exactly.
and so this notion of like how scary it might be if you can just go buy weed at a farmer's market, and I'm like, I mean, we're not you can the barrier to selling your own like a micro brew is pretty fucking low.
Compared
Maybe
to this, yeah.
maybe you can't sell beer at a farmer's market. I get that. Um, but there's a lot of ways that we let people do stuff. I mean, we have city sanctioned block parties at the Civic Plaza in Albuquerque that have beer
Hmm.
vendors, and they somehow manage to make sure that only people that are 21 are drinking, and like it's real fucking simple, real easy.
Yep.
And to just make it more widespread and easier to get without worrying about all these loopholes, like just I don't I think the fear is unfounded. Like what's going to happen if we just completely take out of scheduling together? Nothing. uh
Everybody's gonna fall asleep and be happier in the long run.
well, and I don't, I can't imagine that use is actually going to go up that much. We've seen a sort of microcosm of that in New Mexico. The Everyone saying, "Oh, look at the sales went up, the sales went up," and I'm like, "Yeah, but the medical sales also went down almost the exact by the same
And a
amount."
lot of that's being driven by things happening in Texas. I mean, they banned hemp products there
Yeah,
again, so it's an inflow of people from Texas. Just
it's
look
not
where the
like
sales come from.
there's a bunch of people that just started smoking weed because it became legal, like
Yeah, no, we're always going to be a heavy weed smoking state. That's just
yep.
New Mexico loves flower. We love our cannabis in general, so we're always going to be blazing here. There's no question about that.
It's almost less offensive to light up a pre-roll than it is to light up a tobacco cigarette.
These days, yeah, I'd much rather be around a joint than a
Yeah.
cigarette. I mean, come on.
Uh
Absolutely.
yeah, there's just I don't know. And this is gonna always be this way. I mean, I don't it's just the I was talking to somebody else and they were talking about how strong cannabis is these days and blah blah blah. And like, sure, it's stronger than it was in the 70s. And if you haven't smoked since the 70s, it's gonna be a thing. But I mean, so have beers. I can't go to a brewery without that has anything less than 6% alcohol in it. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Well,
like,
you can manage that a couple of different ways too. You can moderate your intake. You don't have to smoke a whole joint in one sitting. Another thing that a lot of people are doing now is seeking out the lower testing strains out there, because there are some places that will sell lower testers.